about the time he was, say, 3 years old, they were then, the little boys were then playing together and not playing with little girls. And now this is not to say that they were strictly separated, but they were encouraged. They were encouraged to, boys play with boys and girls play with girls, and they told the little boys, don't play with your sisters, and because you're a boy and you're rough. And the little girls, well, they're you might hurt them, so it is your place to take care of them. This is laying the groundwork for, even in our culture today, we say ladies and children first. This was one of the things that they taught. Have compassion for your little sisters and the girls, because you're the boy and you're the man, and you're going to take care of them. You're to protect them. So this was one of the ways that they learned. And by the time they were 5 and 6 and 7 years old, well, they were totally in charge. They were totally charged by their grandfathers and great uncles and uncles and the older men of the household. They took the little boys and they went after wood, and they told the boys how to gather wood, you know. Be sure you look first. There may be snakes under there. There may be a skunk under there. And just don't walk up to some dead limbs and start pulling. They taught them all kinds of things. When you're walking, every once in a while, look back. You can always look forward and look to the sides, but you must always look back. And this was another training. Never walk very long without looking back. Because if you're in strange terrain, this is going to help you. Wherever you came from, if you never look back and you start back, it's going to be all new country to you, because you haven't seen it from another direction. So this was another learning process. And also, the Pawnees believe that the older men, such as grandfathers, should take care of the little children and little boys and try to teach them things, because the older men are full of knowledge, and also they have the time, and they're more patient than a father would. A father is, they say they're short on patience. He is out to bring food. It was one of his main roles. So this leaves the father free to go ahead and be out from the house. And then when he comes in, well, it's good for the son to be with him and take him around. But then just about every day, why he has to go out and do certain things, take care of horses, hunt, sometimes protecting the village. So they say that younger men, little boys, keep the old men young and active, keep their mind active and keep their body active, and this was good. And when the little boy got around 12 and on up, well, he then accompanied the men to where a herd of buffalo was for the killing. And they stayed in the back. And when they attacked the buffalo, well, little later here they came running, and they held the horses, and while the father butchered, as the father put a knife down, the little boy started sharpening it while he used another one. When he put that down, well, he started sharpening the other knives that were there, and he kept the knife sharp. He also picked up the arrows that may have been spent, and he held the horses, and he was just there to help the father so that the father could give his full time to butchering, because this was very important. They had to butcher, get the meat home, and try to get it prepared before it spoiled, if it was in a warm summertime. The little boy also held the hide while the father was cutting it off, or maybe held a quarter up, or held it while the father was cutting it, so that it would not be waving around, and it's very difficult for one man to butcher. If someone's there to hold certain things for him, well, it's much easier. So, and then too, this gave the little boy a chance to see raw meat, see a dead buffalo, see the blood, and smell the odors that go along with it, and see the insides of a buffalo, and this from an early age, after a while it was just casual things to him. I know now, when I was going to school, sometimes we would kill a hog or a cow, and some of the boys, they just couldn't take it. They didn't want to look, and they were, it was surprising to me, that their attitude. So I guess this was one way to get them used to what is to be. And this also laid basis for becoming a warrior. Now, after the boy, a year or two later, or around that age, 12, 13, he then began to take on the chore of arising early in the morning and running over to wherever the family horses were, and take a quick look at them, see that they were there, and if they were hobbled, if any of them were not hobbled, if they were all right apparently, just a quick glance and the eye could distinguish several noticeable things that might be wrong with a horse. So this was training his observances to be able to look at something and see it and then recall it later on. What he saw, recall everything. Just recall what he saw, just like you're looking at a painting. This was, they call this, to become a man, you must learn to look at something and turn away, and later on tell about it. All the colors and just how everything was, and recall everything back. This is also in line of becoming a warrior. All warriors were hunters, and all hunters were warriors. And at the age of, at this age I'm talking about, it was his chore then, after they ate the morning meal, well, he would then go and tend the horses, take them to other areas where the grass was green and where there was water, and be there with them and tend them. And maybe stay most of the day out there. If there were other things that had more of a priority at home, then he must come home and do other chores as they came in sequence. And about this time, well, he knew how to choose saplings for arrows. He knew what kind of wood to get for bows, and he knew how to, from his grandfather and father and the men of the older men of the house, he knew how to take buffalo sinew and roll it and prepare it for a bowstring. And he was very useful. This was, they're always telling him now, you must be a man, and you must learn these things, and it's hard. We know that you want to go swimming, and we know that you want to play, and we know that you want to go hunt with your young friends, and but these are first. These are for the family. So your family comes first. The women and children come first. And then the old man and the old women. And then the other people. And you consider yourself last, because you're the protector. And so as a result, he grew up in his teens with the idea that he is becoming a good hunter. When he saw, in the early age, when he saw his father and grandpa butchering, well, he learned how to butcher then, because he was looking at them. And gradually they would say, if you want to, while I'm doing this, you take this piece of meat and prepare it for carrying it on the horse, or whatever it may be. So he would try his hand at it, and they would say, speed is what you're after, speed, and but don't just waste the meat. such things as that. So, just little things that he learned in growing up. Well, when he became he was a good hunter. By the time he was in his early 20s, he was a good seasoned hunter, a good butcher, all the things that concern hunting, he was excelling. So in his early 20s, he would approach some man and say, "Dear sir," a relation name if it was, call him by his relation name and say, "I have a lot of respect for you. I know that you go out, and I know that you stay a long time sometimes, but you always come home with horses. You always come home with something that's going to benefit the people. And I have confidence in you. And I want you to look at me, and I want you to see me, and I want you to let me show you that you can have confidence in me. I will stand by your side when whatever happens." So this seasoned warrior may take him what a lot of people determine as call a warpath, but I don't like to use the word warpath. Because the Pawnees did not go out specifically to go and kill someone. The Pawnees they walked from Nebraska through Kansas and through Oklahoma and into New Mexico and into Texas, and in quest of horses. Down in the South, that's where the best horses were. And they traveled all that distance on foot. And they found someone that had horses. They took what they could, what they thought they could get away with, and then they would make a run back home with their herd, or they'd be on a horse and maybe lead 3 or lead 2, whatever the sizable herd they ran into. And the Pawnees always say, the Pawnee warriors always said that it's not good to go in the summertime because it rains and it's hot and you can be tracked. And it's not good to go in the wintertime because it's too cold and you may lose your life or get frostbitten, lose part of your limbs. They say the best time to go is in the spring, early spring, before the spring rains come. And another good time to go is in the fall, before it gets too cold. So these are the times that the Pawnee warriors went, and the Pawnee warriors always wanted to go and sometimes they went by themselves. Sometimes they took someone else with them. Sometimes they took 2 or 3 people. 4 was about the limit. They never did want to go with 5 or more. They say one man can get around real well. Maybe it's a little bit better if he's got 2 or 3 with him, because they can still get around real well, and he's also got someone to protect him on each side. And also, in going to acquire horses, the furthest thing away from their mind was to meet an enemy and engage him, because they weren't out to do any killing. They wanted horses, and the only way to get horses is not to be seen and go down to where they are and bring them back. So the earlier years gave him the insight and attitudes of a brave warrior. And the warriors were people that had a lot of following. They were idols. They were heroes. They were people that were very stern when they had to be, very lenient in the camp, never telling about their exploits. The Pawnees believe that if you do something wonderful, people will talk about it. You don't have to talk about it. If you have to talk about what you did, it must not be very good. It must not help the people out very much. Now, some of these hunters and warriors in later years became doctors. These people, as I've stated before, may have been blessed by God with a vision, either when they were a young man seeking a vision or in later years. So they were doctors in the tribe. And now I know that in some teachings, and maybe in most teachings, they call them, a priest. They call them priests. They call them medicine men. Now, my own personal feeling, I do not like to say priest, and I do not like to say medicine men. These men were doctors. They doctored. They knew about medicine. A lot of them got their medicine divinely. So, I have to call them doctors. Now, even if they did not get a vision, some people would go to a doctor and talk to them and be around them and help them, and for 2 or 3 years they may, as often as they could, go to these men, give them something, give them food, give them something warm to wear, or something that they could make to wear, give them skins. They could go to their house and offer to, is there anything that I can do for you? Invite him to dinner whenever they could. Take him some meat whenever you can. Bring him water. bring him wood, bring the household wood, and after a while he will ask you, what is it you want? It may be 2 or 3 years gone by. So you tell him, I want you to feel sorry for me. I want you to have compassion for me. I want to be a doctor. I want you to look at me, and I want you to teach me, even if it's just a little something, where I could have a word, where I could have something that I can look to heaven and say, I have this, you gave it. So the doctor then would say, well, all right, perhaps he would say all right. Or he may just say, well, son, I don't want you to feel badly, but I've seen you growing up. I know you. I know your family. But I cannot teach you anything. Then maybe the boy might go and try somebody else. But if he said, all right, I will then allow you to come and be around me and help me. And if I see fit, if I have confidence in you, if I think that you can learn, if I think that you can learn the way I want you to learn, not the way you want to learn, but the way I want you to learn, then I'll try to teach you something. In the meantime, if I don't see these qualities in you, or if you start having a change of attitudes, or if I sense something, I will tell you that it's over. So don't feel badly. You may come around. So the man then starts taking this young man around with him. Maybe never say anything to him. Just say, well, today we're going to go over here. I want you to go with me. So for instance, the man may take him. They may walk way into the woods, and the man may look at some trees and some leaves and some different things, and perhaps he might start digging and get some kind of a roots. And it may be that he may do this 3 or 4 times, and then might come a time he might tell this man, see this root right here? I want you to go get one. So it goes back to that, what I was telling you. He has seen the man go and do certain things, so he has to recall what that man did. He has to look at that root and know about what bush it came from, or little sapling or little plant, and then he must go get it. And he must get it exactly like the man did himself. These little things are some of the things that they showed the older members, and subsequently they became doctors, and some of them became great doctors by being proteges to someone, and some of them became great doctors by having a vision themselves, and some of them became great doctors by having a vision themselves, and some of them became great doctors by having a vision themselves, and some of them became great doctors by having a vision themselves, and some of them became great doctors by having a vision themselves, and some of them became great doctors by having a vision themselves, And some of them became great doctors by having a vision themselves. And some of them became great doctors by having a vision themselves. And some of them became great doctors by having a vision themselves. And some of them became great doctors